if you're kind of coming in contact with a girl at 12 years old, similar situation that you were in, what is the advice that you're going to give her?
It's the obsession with work, with anything to get you out of there, and a lot of it, I would just say, is reevaluate what you want, for one. Is this what you want? Are you just pleasing others? Are you just going through the motions? And also, is this the people that you want to surround yourself with? Are you taking other people's opinions into account in their fullest intensity? Are you understanding where these people are coming from? Are you letting rose-tinted glasses in any format affect your view on things? Because sometimes there needs to be objectivity in relationships and in decisions that you make.
Welcome to the Elevated Hope Project, a podcast celebrating stories of resilience, transformation, and second chances. This podcast is proudly sponsored by Elevated Education, serving students through innovative alternative schools like East Point High School, Accelerated Learning Center, and Elevated Academy. Today we highlight the journey of Kylene, who is a graduate of one of our schools, and we are just super excited to have her here today. Her story reflects strength, hope, and the impact of perseverance and community support. Let's dive in. Kylene, thank you for joining us. I've been excited to meet you. Let's go ahead and jump into your nickname. Let's start off with a bang. So you go by Cupid.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
So Kylene it's not like a bad name, but for me, it's actually full of very common syllables. Kylie is a more common name, and E is kind of een and is very, very common in the English language. And it was figured out later in my life that I have audio processing issues. I read lips all the time, and so it was actually COVID was really rough to find that out. But Cupid starts with Q, and it is a very distinctive sound. So I kind of ended up with it because it started as kind of a teasing nickname, just became used by everyone because I hear it better. I respond to it better because Kylene is so common
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's Cupid with a Q.
Close enough. I tell my student ID now. It's always fun. I get to tell my students now.
Okay.
It's Cupid, and they go, no, it isn't. And then I show them my student ID. So
Yeah.
but
She's got proof.
There we go. There's proof. Yeah.
But I'm glad that works better for you.
yes.
Yeah.
So wait, I gotta jump back into what
Yeah.
your description of Cupid, because you mentioned that you discovered something. What did you call it again? An auditory?
Yeah,
something?
auditory processing disorder.
Auditory processing disorder. You discovered that during COVID?
Afterwards, although I kind of figured it out that there was something abnormal in COVID because suddenly I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't understand anybody
Okay.
because everyone was wearing masks and I couldn't read their lips.
Oh,
I didn't know
okay.
if I was reading lips for a very long time, and it kind of came along with a lot of the other stuff that got diagnosed, and then it was like, oh, that makes a lot more sense.
For sure.
Just in terms of like how I respond to things. And basically the characteristics of mine is that I hear everything. I was terrible about it when I was tiny because I would respond like I would hear the projector boards. They have a very particular electronic screech.
Uh-huh.
And I would tell the teacher, and they're like, you're losing your marbles. I can't process the audio. I can't pick out things. Usually your brain tends to sort of hone in on what you're supposed to be focusing on, and mine can't do that. So like if anybody else is having a conversation, I can't hear
It's too many distractions. Yeah.
So,
Okay, fascinating. So are you hearing any noises in here right now that you need to address?
no, it's not anything that you need to
Okay.
process. But it's like restaurants with music are my least favorite activity. Like, because I can't hear anybody because there's lyrical music.
I get that. A lot of the new like restaurant style is these big high ceilings and it's super echoey and
Yeah, and got the
music,
acoustics.
and it's just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and we don't have what she has. We're just regular
All right. I
nerds.
can't imagine. Well, thanks for being here today.
Yeah.
As I understand it, you drove up from Tucson up here to Phoenix to just join us today. So, and I don't want to miss thanking our guest host today, Mr. Alan Diornellis. He kicked Chris out of here. What I really love about this is, the two of you have the kind of teacher student, mentor student relationship. So you had a totally different perspective than she might have. And that'll be a really interesting part of the story.
Yeah.
So did you grow up here in Arizona?
Yes, I grew up in the Tempe, Phoenix area. Actually, the branch where I went to school is about a mile or so from where I live.
Yep.
I'm on kind of not the greatest side of Tempe, but that's pretty normal. Kind of on the other side of where things tend to be. But I lived in pretty much the same house for most of my life, though I wasn't necessarily in it most of the time. So
Gotcha. Okay. Do you have any siblings? Like what's your family makeup?
I lived with my great aunt and my great uncle and my mother. I'm an only child. But it was kind of strange in a lot of ways. My mother had a brain tumor when I was 2 years old. And she is lobotomized. She's missing her frontal lobe because that's where it was, and they had to take it out. And so obviously, with a brain injury at all, things tend to be difficult. Especially raising a child and things like that, especially a child who has some of the conditions I do. And it was much, much worse, in like a family that just was not working for us. It was very transactional in a lot of ways. And so I tended to be out of my house majority of the time. So I was mostly with friends, or there's many times where I would just wander around instead of going home. So
Gotcha. Okay.
So describe your, there's a lot you could tell us about your childhood, and feel free to tell us as much as you want, but describe the educational journey you had and then land us at East Point.
Yeah, so I started at the Kylene district. Yep, Kylene, it was a thing. But I started at Kylene de la Mariposa, which was in Chandler. My mom wanted me to have a better education than a lot of the stuff offerings here in Tempe. And so I went there until my third grade. I was a straight A student. I never got myself in trouble. I think I landed myself in the principal's office once and was so distraught that they were like, "Oh my God." And then I did my third, fourth, and fifth, I think, over at it was another Kyrene district school. I don't remember the name of it. KTA, Kyrene Traditional Academy. And I was a straight A student there too. And then I moved to Arizona School for the Arts, which I did my fifth grade at a different school, but ASA is K through 12. Or not K through 12, 5 through 12, my bad. But I did not do 5 there. I did 6. I started at 6 and then onwards. And the change of all that, throughout my life, at that point I was around 10, things were getting pretty struggle with a lot of my health that we didn't really understand, and things at home were really, really rough. My mother has the emotional intelligence, the neurologist estimates of around a preteen or a teen, and so when you start getting around that age, it gets really, really grating.
You guys were about the same age there for a while then.
Pretty much, yeah. And when that person also is your mother and has the authority over you, it goes exactly how you would expect it to go. So I went to Arizona School for the Arts, and I immediately, after being a straight A student, failed a grade. I failed 6th grade. And then I almost did it again. The change was just really hard. Housing was unstable. I was never home, and when I was, it was terrible. I would much rather be wandering, and so I did. I was not sleeping. I didn't do a lot of that stuff, and I never wanted to. I could not get myself to do things. It was really, really a struggle. Living constantly in fight or flight. And a teacher there happened to show compassion as well. I don't know what it is with teachers with like an initial for their name. He went by Mr. K, Mr. Krasowski.
Okay.
And he took time out of his own summer because he knew I would not do summer school if I was at home. I would not do it. I would not do well, and it would not be a reflection of myself as a student. He took time out of his summer to do a 3-day summer intensive. I was at school for 8 hours with just him and I think I passed that class with an A, the summer school. So it really was circumstantial. Throughout then 7th and 8th, and then I think I started 9th. Or I did 9th there. COVID hit in 9th grade, in my freshman year of high school. And I was a dancer. I went to a performance arts school. Arizona School for the Arts is a performance arts school, and I was a ballet dancer. And fun fact, you can't do that over Zoom. Everyone was fighting for their life. Like, really, I mean, everyone was in COVID. It was a really big struggle, especially as I had learned at the new school to have a voice of my own. For a very long time, I had parroted my family's beliefs and kind of their ideals, and not really was able to think for myself in a lot of those ways. And being offered to think kind of for my own and be able to do that research on my own and have a voice, my school was very proud of that, and the fact that we would have walkouts and students could speak on what they did. Our, what we chose to do was something that was tangible. It was especially hard being back at home because I hated being at home in general. And now I couldn't be out to go to the store. I couldn't make an excuse to go see my friends. I couldn't go to the park. I couldn't do anything like that. And my health was declining. So I did my freshman year there. I think I kind of wiggled through it. It's kind of hard to remember because in 2020 was one of the worst years I had. I was hospitalized for psychiatric reasons and suicidal ideation. And it was really the crux of it. It had always been this way. Depression was kicking my ass. And I was physically getting sick, but we didn't know why. After that, when we returned to the classroom, I was really struggling because I was in the doctor's office 5 times a week at minimum. I was in for 2 rounds of physical therapy, 1 of occupational therapy, 1 for psychiatric, and usually some sort of specialist appointment in a week. So that's see my GP for one reason or another, or going to see pulmonology because I found something in my lung, or like going to see cardiology because I need an echocardiogram or some sort of imaging or whatever, right? And that just did not work with a typical school schedule. I mean, I could not get it done, and my mother would not sign off on a 504. So I was just having to do this by myself. I was scheduling my appointments by myself at 16, 15. Phoenix Children's Hospital was working with me there because I just couldn't do anything. And then I was getting help from my teachers, but that was on their own good graces, right? They're not bound by law unless you have a 504. And so when a teacher rolled around that didn't want to accommodate that, I couldn't do anything. Because it usually typically happened during a math class, and math is hard science. It went exactly as you would expect, and I ended up transferring, I think, halfway through the fall semester to East Point.
Wow, what a journey. And I just have to pause and say you have such great vocabulary. Like, your word selection is kind of fun to listen to.
I appreciate it, yeah. But yeah, that's when I transferred to East Point. It was close. It was part of my decision. Also, the fact that it had a more flexible kind of approach to schooling, because I had started working in COVID and I had never stopped. So I started working at 14 and I haven't stopped. So
okay.
Wow.
And so were you there, Alan, when she first arrived?
No, that was Mr. G still.
Mr. G, yeah. I remember being so suspicious. I'm working with kids from broken homes and kids who've been through hell a lot of the times. Is a lot like working with abused cats. They don't trust you. They'll test your limits. I was more the one sitting back and watching when they did that with him, and he definitely has earned that trust.
Yeah.
And stuff. He earns the promotion.
Yeah,
I was very happy to hear he got it.
he's awesome. Which you know.
Yeah.
So let's circle back. So you had mentioned kind of the mental health issues you were having, severe depression, along with the physical. Was the physical medical issues that you were facing, was the root of it your mental health?
No, it's actually genetics. I got a kind of a laundry list of, I think I counted recently and it was 15 diagnoses now. So, I've got kind of a laundry list of chronic conditions and stuff like that, a lot of which went undiagnosed. In a household where you're kind of neglected a lot of the times in general, especially your health goes unchecked. And I ended up not getting treatment for a lot of these things that could. I have, a couple conditions, but the main one that kind of causes a lot of those comorbidities is a condition called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a connective tissue disorder. There's 13 different types. They are not exactly sure which one I have right now. They thought it was the hypermobile type, which doesn't have an identified gene, but they're not 100% certain with how it's been progressing. Basically makes me way too stretchy in one of the more, like, the main building blocks of your body. Connective tissues, they're everywhere in your body, and so every system is affected. I have a pretty severe case of dysautonomia. POTS is typical, so postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, but that one is pretty bad for me. So I actually can't regulate my body temperature. My hands are going to start getting a little blue here. It's not a bad thing, but I have Raynaud's, so like my blood vessel spasm and like my lower, like my extremities and stuff. And that's been such a pain in Arizona, where it's uninhabitable to a regular individual.
Right.
But
wow, that's The words you're saying are like I'm listening to my doctor talk.
Right.
Yeah.
Are
You've been through it.
Are you
Yeah.
pursuing the medical
Yes,
field
I
by
am.
chance?
My end goal is physician's assistant in general practice. I want to be the home basis of care because the general practitioner can really change the course of things. Um, I have got a heart condition too, so it's sick sinus syndrome. My natural pacemaker does not do its job, so
Mm.
my heart rate will swing like into the 30s or the 200s, or all the places it should not be going.
So with all of that, those things you were trying to work through, right? Physical therapy specialists, occupational therapy. At any point, did you fall behind in school, or did you get moved over before you could really fall behind?
Oh, good Lord, I fell behind. I think my GPA was like a 2 point something when I moved over. It was rough.
Yeah.
It was not good. I was fighting to stay alive, really. And I fell behind at East Point too because I was working like 2 jobs. Like I lived on my own.
Hmm.
Or I lied about it to you.
The truth
I
now,
was
I know.
living on my own. I think I moved out at 17.
Wow.
So I was
Where did you move to?
I stayed with a friend for a brief period, and then the second I turned 18, I moved out. And I started renting on my own. Like car insurance, all that was all in my name and stuff. And so obviously you have to work to keep that up. And my graduation, I actually drove from clocking out for my full-time job to my high school graduation.
The idea of living on your own, I know, can sound so special
So
to
nice,
some, but
yeah.
it's like, man, now I got all these bills I got to.
So grown up.
Yeah, I was already prepared for. I was lucky in that I had been saddled with a lot of responsibilities that an adult should be taking on at that age, which is not a good thing, but it did prepare me for a lot of the financial aspects of it. And so, being a manager at that age and all that stuff, I already was like ready and kind of in it,
Yeah.
doing the business side of things too. So it was like,
I'm so curious, Alan, your perspective of all of this, right? Like, you saw her lying about where she was living,
Yep.
working a couple jobs, behind in credits, and you
Mhm.
probably had to help structure something. So, what do you remember about the adjustments you made, accommodations you made, and how she responded to the program?
Yeah, I remember specifically, you'd come in maybe once a week.
it was the one day a week I could, Thursdays.
Yes, exactly. And it
Every
was
other day I worked.
2-3 hours, something like
Yep.
that. And most students at that location, they would come in first half of the day and they would do their work in the front room and then they would leave. Kind of would always come in and it was usually early afternoon.
Yeah.
So I just have her go to the back room because she wasn't with the rest of the kids and didn't have really a good fingerprint or anything like that at school. And so she'd go back there and she would work for a little bit and then she'd take a break, play a game. She'd work a little bit, do her ballet practice, work a little bit, just whatever she needed to do to actually stay focused and be productive. So aside that scheduling aspect though, I remember her last probably 6 months, we sat down and I'm like, to graduate on time, you have this many classes to get done.
Yep.
This is the exact timeline to make it happen. And on graduation, she had half of a class left. And she had 1 week to finish it to meet the goal line for actual graduation for the state. But
Finished it on Wednesday, I think.
she finished it. Yeah.
Nice.
So she came into graduation day. She's like, Mr. D, I finished my classes. And then that was, I think you finished 8 classes
Oh yeah, in like
And-
a couple months.
in the last couple months because you finally had a little bit of time. You're like, I'm getting this done. I'm
Yeah.
going to college. I'm moving on. And so the flexibility we were able to give her and the structure yet looseness of our site, but also that guidance of a timeline and what needs to happen, I think was very helpful. I hope so. At
Yes.
least.
Yeah. I was kind of making a lot of adult decisions at an age where you should not be doing that, right? And I didn't have a lot of a choice. So having someone that was kind of there to help structure those things and stuff. And he worked with me too, because when I was like, that's not going to work with me, I worked through breaks every time. I hate breaks. Winter break is coming up. It's the first break I've had to take in years. And I'm like, I know I'm going to be clawing at the walls of my enclosure because I can't stand them. It messes with my schedule, which at the time we didn't know, it's the autism. I need a structure, I need a schedule. And so when I didn't have that, breaks really messed that up. And so we would just work through them.
Work through.
He would take time out of his breaks to help me if I needed them.
And just to put some perspective on the amount of courses you completed in that short time frame, that's not a scenario where you're just going through and randomly clicking buttons just to get done. You had to master the content with
Yeah.
at least an 80%, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was my math too.
Yes, it
I
was.
like skipped it.
Yeah.
And my sciences, I did like this. I had a couple of electives in the end too. so.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Mhm.
Not only were you putting the work in, you were doing it with understanding the content.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a ton of information to take in that quickly.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. When you said you came in with like a 2 point something, I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
It's not so good now.
Yeah.
I just recently got admitted to honors college, and so my GPA is like above 3.5 or whatever now, which is what I think it probably should have been. But I think I graduated like a 3.05, which was really nasty. I was like, that's so sad.
It's all perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would have killed for that. My whole motto was C's get degrees.
I don't know, man. If it passes, it passes.
That's right.
Were you at all surprised that she accomplished the goal that she set out to accomplish?
No, absolutely not. And extra context, she already mentioned it, but right before we made the goal for her to graduate, we also talked about her moving out, moving on her own. So we talked about car payments, car insurance, apartments,
Yeah.
um,
Renter's insurance.
rent, everything. I mean, we made this whole plan, and then the next week it was how we graduated. So it was not just I'm secure here at home. I want to get done. It was no, I need to figure out life and medical issues and a full-time job and finish class. And so we had goals out the wazoo,
Yeah.
and she mastered them all. And now she's in college. I mean,
Wow.
I never doubted that she would get it done because that's who she is.
Yeah.
Congratulations on
I
all of that.
appreciate it.
I think that really speaks to the power of the mentoring structure, right? Without having a responsible adult who knew about all those things
I tried to give up.
and that cared enough to not allow you to give up. That's the heartbeat of our entire program. Is that example right there of someone coming alongside a student who's just overwhelmed with life because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He met me where I was at. That was very important. I teach children nowadays, K through 5, and so it's very. I mean, you see a lot of it, and I take a lot of the things that you taught me to that, but a lot of it's just. There's a couple of things I distinctly remember from school. And you had me skip work one day.
Ah,
Sounds about right.
It was the only time I've ever skipped work, and I do not regret it at all. It was in summer. This was right after they'd gone on a field trip, and I happened to be there at the field trip, not as a student, as a worker. I was the one facilitating it, and I didn't know, and I was like, Mr. D.
That's funny.
By the way, they were so good that trip because they knew I was going to rat them out, I think. We had a lot of children. I worked with at an arcade at the time, and so morning shift usually because I had to. And so that's when they ended up there, and we had a lot of issues with those school trips where a lot of people would start damaging things.
Oh yeah.
They
Nothing.
were good kids, and it helped that I was going to be there next, like in the few days. But
They'd have to answer for it.
yeah, but over summer, I was like, I have a shift. I had dropped in on the day where I was supposed to be working. And you were going to have a field trip to Sunsplash. And I had not really been there before. It's a luxury. And it was very, like, you phrased it in such a way where it was like, it was absolutely my choice, but like, is this an opportunity that you want to miss? Because you absolutely do need things other than work. And so I made the split-second decision to skip. I was sunburnt. It was great. I don't regret it at all. Because also my boss did not care. He was very good to me. So.
Yeah. And where were you working at that point?
Tilt Studios. It's at Arizona Mills. I actually only quit there because Arizona Mills is not a good place to be.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. I wish I was kidding. Last time I was there, I was like, when was the last shooting? It was like last week. So,
yeah.
yeah, they showed me the bullet holes, and so being in a place like that definitely isn't, especially at my age and when I'm trying to go do a lot more, it was difficult. After that, I worked in Santan, so I was driving Tempe, Santan, all that stuff. So
Yeah.
And it sounds like now you're working at a school, but also going to school. So what are those things looking like for you?
So I work mostly after school programs. I teach science now.
Okay.
It's very fun. I think they're scheduling me with a couple of districts up in Tucson. I think I'm working with bases or somewhere. I don't know. But the company's actually based here in Phoenix because they just kept me when I went up there because I'm a good employee, I guess. And so I'm intending to get more work up there because I'm bored, but and I need to make more money. But that is, it's not so bad because I tend to schedule my classes morning anyways. I am a morning person, because I'm up with the sun. So it makes me a little sad that most people don't want to be in the lab at 6 in the morning. I want to be in the lab at 6 in the morning.
Take it all to yourself. So you're going to classes in the morning and then working that job later in the day.
And typically, I think they have me up for a couple early releases, so that's around like 1:32 to like 3ish, and then the other one I think is at 3, so it's just kind of the after school hours where I get to take care of them and teach them the science things. So
I bet you're a very fun teacher.
I hope so. They're usually pretty good with me because it's about respect. When you respect a child, and you don't treat them as lesser, and you just treat them as a human being that's learning, they tend to be a lot nicer to you, because I'm not treating you like you're stupid or that you're not worth that, or you're less than human, which happens a lot with kids. So
Yeah, absolutely. Very wise.
Any exploding labs for the kids yet?
yes,
Are
I
those your
set things
favorite?
on fire for fun.
There we go.
Okay.
Well, my favorite's dry ice because you don't ever get to do fun things with it in the lab. It's just for storage, but like it's so fun to play around with when you're just playing around with it for fun. But I do also like elephant toothpaste is fun. They like that. It's not as dangerous as the other thing. The other thing I only do for performances, and that's potassium permanganate and glycerin. And that will set itself on fire. So I tell them like, yeah, you guys keep an eye on that. I'm gonna go get ready for my other thing, and obviously I'm watching, but they're like, so it's fun.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right. So you graduated from East Point. What year was that?
2 Junes ago, so 23,
Okay.
24,
24.
24.
24.
Okay.
And so you graduated in June, and then in August you moved to Tucson and started at U of A. Okay.
So unfortunately, a lot of times underprivileged students, it continues to stay that way. I've had to tell my fair share of lies. I'm pretty sure it was you, but it could have been someone else.
Okay.
I had CPS called on me in my last month of school, last month or two. I'm pretty sure it was someone from school, and I lied through my teeth. I did not want to be put into the foster care system. I didn't want to be displaced. I didn't want to end up in a different state with my dad. I was so close to graduating, and I was like, I would rather bite the bullet and take the month. I am almost out of here anyways. And so that doesn't really stop. I had been kind of suffering through some medical stuff that was getting worse because I was being ignored. Unfortunately, it happens a lot in the medical system, especially at my age, and kind of stuff like that. I was just getting bounced around. They told me go talk to the specialist, and the specialist tells me you're fine. And it turns out what had been happening was a electrolyte deficiency, potassium. That sounds really stupid until that's like a thing that causes arrhythmias.
Yeah.
It makes it
It
so I
gets too
can't
low,
do anything.
your heart can stop.
Yeah, so that was rough. I was intending to start at Mesa Community College, because I happened to live in Mesa at the time, and I was just going to keep doing that, keep going to my full-time job and do school, and then get my associates, and then move off to university. And I didn't even start Mesa. I got so sick that I ended up in the hospital in October, for like a week or two. And then I finally kind of recovered, and I was like, I need to get out of here because I got stuck back at home because I was not able to like provide for myself. So I pretty much fled to the dorms at ASU Glendale. And because Tempe was too close, I went to Glendale. And that school was a mistake. ASU has this reputation for a reason. I will just leave it there. It was, they have a lot to work on. And I walked away from that school with far more of a price to pay than tuition. So, I definitely it did spur part of my decision to do a dual enrollment in journalism because I was a victim of a sexual assault there, and stalking and a couple of other things, and it was an absolute disaster. There was no support from the school. I remember distinctly the community director telling me that I needed to make the distinction between comfort and safety. No, I don't. In my own home, much less. And so, speaking to women on that campus and having to kind of do the things that I did, I chose to pursue more of a journalism because advocacy is so important in every aspect of your life. So,
Yeah.
and then after that, I withdrew from that semester completely, and went to U of A. So this is technically my freshman semester.
Okay.
And it's going well. So it's going great.
Yeah. I don't want to breeze past the point you made about advocacy and how that is such an important life skill, right? When we need something, whether it's in the medical system, whether it's in our education, we need to be comfortable speaking up, because a lot of it isn't intentional, right? People are just busy and they need to move on to the next thing, and it doesn't even cross their mind until someone says, hey, wait, I need something.
Mhm.
And they're like, oh gosh, yeah, you're right,
Mhm.
you do. And I think that's such an important skill that all of our students have to learn through the process. Like, speak up, say something, because they're just so used to kind of being told to sit down and shut up.
Our systems are not built to account for underprivileged students
Mm.
in any way, shape, or form. The educational systems, I still run into barriers in university. The medical systems, any system, it's not built for underprivileged students to succeed. It's built to keep them where they're supposed to be. And that's not true. I've met some amazing students that have been able to do more than their privileged counterparts if they've been given the opportunity. And so trying to put those opportunities into place, and it's a lot of the times it's not even malicious. It's just that you don't ever think about it until you're there. Majority of the time I'm actually in a wheelchair nowadays. And there are things on my own campus and home where I just do not think about it until I'm in the chair and I'm like, wow, this is terrible.
Mm.
How did I never think about that? And then it's like, oh, like you just don't think about it.
And I think more than you being given opportunities, you earned them because you put in the hard work that it takes. And people were willing to open those doors because you showed that you were going to be showing up. Like you said, you missed one day of work.
Yeah.
I mean, that just tells me that you show up. When you
Yeah.
commit to something, you show up.
Yeah.
And you clearly, just because of what you accomplished at East Point, will put in the work. It's funny how that put in the work comment always comes up, and it's artwork on the wall. But
Subliminal.
it-
Even though
I think it's like one of the keys to life. Like, show
Yeah.
up and put in the work, and the rest generally will take care of itself.
Yeah.
And I think that's a common theme in your life. I mean,
It is
you're
to an extent.
incredibly intelligent. I can
Yeah.
tell that. But intelligence without work doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, both of those things are very important. Putting in the work a lot of the times is, I mean, it's the only thing that's going to get you places, but also so is connections and
Hmm.
finding somewhere you can bash your head against the wall until the end of your days. If you're in a prison cell, it doesn't get you anywhere. Finding a mentor that is able to see that, or once you have your foot in the door, putting the work and showing that a lot of the times will get you where you need to be, because unfortunately a lot of things just tend to be unbalanced. And when you can prove that that's not, you're not defined by that, and that also that you are perfectly capable and willing to do the thing, that you typically tend to get a lot better results. And that's how I end up, in the circles I am nowadays and with the opportunities I have nowadays. And I've been very fortunate to have the mind to do that.
Yeah.
the other, like, it is just fascinating that the other theme that we keep coming back to in all of our podcasts is the power of connections and community and relationship, that whole concept. And so really you are the embodiment of the things that we are seeing over and over again in all of these transformational stories, that those two things, put in the work, build your community, those are that's the secret sauce, right?
Yeah. And compassion.
Mm.
Everyone's going through something. It's always something. It's something that I've kind of kept in mind for my whole life. I tended to seem. Well, actually, I'm a really terrible liar. He could
I don't know. You've had to confess a couple lies to Mr. D today.
Yeah,
You must be a really good liar.
I am a horrible liar. I am a terrible liar. I 100%. I've come in one day and been like, "I'm fine." He's been like, "Tell me more." So everyone's going through something, and so and something I learned a lot in customer service too. Someone's having a bad day, it's going to reflect on you, and it's going to seem like they're mad at you. The circumstance, you happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And a lot of people feel really terrible about it afterwards too, and they realize like they're yelling at a 16-year-old, and it's like, and you're yelling at anybody, right? And so showing compassion to people tends to go a long way. There's even things that I don't realize I was doing that meant so much. I remember it was a student at school. It was his birthday. I like found out when I got there, and I was like, "This is stupid. What do you mean you don't have cake?" So I went and got cake, and that was it. And that was like literally all I did. And then I came back after I graduated, and he was like, "Oh my god, like how have you been?" I was like, "Oh, that
It's the
remember.
kid.
Oh no, that meant something." So
Yeah, everybody wants to be seen. The other thing that I think is remarkable about your story is, we see so often that kids that come up through a home like you did and have just these insurmountable medical issues, they take those things on as an identity and allow themselves to be a victim of that, right? And then that victimhood is what holds them into that place. And it's clear to me that you took those things and used them as fuel to build a bulletproof mindset and just keep pushing forward on the goals that you were trying to accomplish.
yeah, I think broken homes tend to produce jagged edges.
Mm.
And they have it's much easier to cut with jagged edges than it is to pile them down. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, and a lot of the times when you're only surrounded by jagged edges and sharp stuff and just terrible things, you don't even know where to start. It feels impossible. I know I was like, I'm never gonna get out of this. I thought when I went to East Point, I had done the math in the only way I could, and I thought I was gonna die at 16 or less. By my own hand or by something else with how my health was kind of going. I'm 20. So obviously I am not a very good mathematician for one. For two, it really is a lot about, where you are, what you surround yourself with, and the opportunities that you can make for yourself by pushing for your voice to be heard, and what people are able to offer you.
Hmm. Cupid, this probably isn't the first time that you've ever thought about the answer to the question I'm going to ask you. But if you're kind of coming in contact with a girl at 12 years old, similar situation that you were in, what is the advice that you're going to give her?
For one, not advice. I'm calling CPS. I am a mandatory
Fair enough.
reporter, and I am doing that. But a lot of it is it's hard. I don't know. I don't think I know what to say. I think when I went to East Point, I think that version of myself would absolutely hate me now. I think she'd be like, "What are you even doing?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I just work here." So, it's a lot of it is just it's the obsession with work, with anything to get you out of there, and a lot of it I would just say is reevaluate what you want. For one, is this what you want? Are you just pleasing others? Are you just going through the motions? And also, is this the people that you want to surround yourself with? Are you taking in other people's opinions into account in their fullest intensity? Are you understanding where these people are coming from? Are you letting rose-tinted glasses in any format affect your view on things? Because sometimes there needs to be objectivity in relationships and in decisions that you make. And other times, there has to be a rose-tinted lens. Don't take away those things from yourself because you don't deserve them. Don't throw yourself into work because it's your only option. It's not. You have to do things to survive, and morale is part of that. So you won't survive if you don't have any reason to.
That's good. Just the first word that you said, reevaluate.
Yeah.
Is this what you want?
Yeah.
That's really good. I mean, most kids aren't evaluating much of anything. They're really just kind of whatever is in front of them, they're accepting as their reality. And you fought through some things.
I think a big skill that Cupid has that hasn't been addressed yet is her ability to actually truly listen to advice. So there'd be days and she would come in and they were not good days.
No.
She would last in the school maybe 45 minutes, did no work, which was just fine. We would talk for about 5 or 10 minutes. I would see what's going on. We would get her back on her feet.
Yep.
And then I'd see her again next week and she was just fine. And because she was able to take advice, implement that advice, and realize that the situation currently doesn't have to be forever.
Yeah. And also that, like, a lot of things can feel like the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they really can. I was constantly under threat of being shipped out to another state to go live with, like, someone else. And it was constant, like, is this going to be my last choice? Is this going to be, like, if I make one wrong move, there's no safety net. And so some days you can't do the thing. Maybe you need to do the thing. That doesn't mean you can. There's a very big difference between like I can and like I need to. Because a lot of the times there would be days where I'm like overdue on something and I was just in shambles about it, and you can't do it when you're in shambles. You have to have spoons to spend. So those were days where we would just talk, take a minute, breathe, go home, try again.
Play some
And then
Mario Kart.
Yes.
Good old Mario Kart.
Yes.
I think she's got a few TED Talks. Like at the foundation level, you're getting there.
Yeah.
Wow. What a story. So just for my clarity, so you're at U of A,
Mhm.
you're in kind of a pre-med track.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate myself. I am a dual enrolled student. I'm getting a Bachelor of Science in Molecular and Cellular Biology. And my other major is a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism. I've got a minor in music, just because I miss it. The performance arts will always drag me back. And I am obviously joining the Honors College for Frankie Honors next semester. I think it's technically active, but like it has to. I have to hit a GPA once my grades are processed, and then it's whatever. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then after undergrad, your plan would be to go to
Medical school.
medical school. Okay. Do you have a specialty in mind?
General practice. I've been told a lot that I could do a lot of different things. You know, anesthesiology makes a lot of money, and cardiology is like very like I want to do general practice. What is so special about general practice is that, for one, when you're at six figures, a difference of a couple like digits in finances does not matter to me, especially because I'm never gonna have a partner. I'm airways, and that's just not happening. If it does, oh well. If not, okay, that's also fine. And I also don't have to save for retirement. The cool part about being sick and knowing you're gonna die before you hit retirement age is that I don't need to worry about that.
Freedom.
I just need to have, healthcare while I'm here. So, having like a little bit extra finances doesn't matter to me, because my end goal is to leave a net positive on the world.
Yeah.
And general practice is one of the best ways to do that. You are the first line of contact with your patient. If they're just getting their annual physical, or if they're actually just feeling sick, you're the first person they're going to see. And when they come back from a specialist, if they've got an issue that nobody can figure out and they're telling me I'm fine, I can be the person to say, you go with your gut. You don't feel well. I'm here for you. I'm not in charge of your care. We're doing it together. I can't know what somebody's body feels like if it's not mine.
Yeah.
And so to be able to be the person that sends out those referrals, to be able to be the home base, and to be able to watch people grow and develop and support them through their journeys is more important to me than finances or having a specialty in general. So general practice is what I do want to do. So like family practitioner and things like that. And PA is just a better, I think, route for me, because for one, it's faster. And honestly, I don't find a medical doctorate that important. You can practice on your own. That does not really matter to me in a lot of ways, because they tend to do the same job, especially with the shortages and with all of the mandates on the NPs. I am not doubting that PAs are probably going to be quicker to follow with that. So.
Yeah, the career growth projections on physician's assistants is pretty incredible.
It's a disaster right now. I'm going to be honest. I mean, medical school is so competitive. It's changed. It used to be like actually like a lot of schooling. Now it's like you have to have pretty much all of the knowledge. I mean, you didn't even have to use anatomy, physiology didn't even used to be like a prereq a lot of times for a lot of med schools. Now it's like nice try if you don't even have it. Like it's a requirement on your application. You have to be, the best of the best, because they just don't have the residencies. They don't have the funding. A lot of it, residencies are funded a lot of the times with the government. And so when they don't have the funds to fund a residency, you get no doctors, because that's a requirement. And some residencies last like 8 years, I think, for neuroscience. So like it's a waiting game a lot of the times. And so PA, I think, is better for me, because the quality of care for me won't change. So I don't care about practicing on my own in a lot of ways. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I love the vision that you have for your future. Like you
Same.
seem to have absolute clarity, and you're approaching it with a zero options mentality, which means like this is happening.
Yeah.
Right. It's not if it's that it is.
And if the things happen, I've got other options. My degrees allow me a very large degree of flexibility in fields I go into. If I choose to get a PhD, if I choose to drop out and like not like drop out, but like go and just use my bachelor's and just do that instead. Journalism, go into a completely different field.
True.
It allows me to do whatever, really, if things change, because I know values can change. I know it well. So
Yeah,
I leave myself wiggle room.
definitely. So are you enjoying living in Tucson?
Más o menos. It's questionable. I think I miss the options of Phoenix. I mean, it's huge. I mean, like I would go for a drive because I'm like, I just can't be at home, and then I drive an hour and a half and I'm in the same city.
You're still in Phoenix.
I'm
yeah.
still in Phoenix. And in Tucson, I'm in the middle of the wilderness. So that is really cool. There's a lot of stars out there. It's a dark sky city. So that is very fortunate. Then it's definitely stranger to be in a smaller city. I'm so used to Phoenix. I mean, everything's so close together in a lot of ways. And like, I drove to Tucson Medical Center, which is like 20 minutes from campus. And people are like, that's far. And I'm like, me having driven like an hour and a half from my school to go to Mayo Clinic, I was like, huh?
Everything's
So-
20 minutes here. That's
Yeah,
in
everything
our family. How far is that? 20 minutes.
Yeah, so like, what do you mean that's far? But I've been very fortunate in the community that I've been kind of a part of. I don't tend to mesh as well with freshmen. I just don't seem like it, I guess. So I'm friends with a lot of more later in their education or PhD students, and that's been really fortunate to be able to see their work and support them in the ways that I can, which is just being very excited to be here.
Yeah, you're clearly a sponge and you are surrounding yourself by a particular group of people on purpose. Again, the clarity that you have in all those intentional decisions you're making is well beyond your years.
I am surrounded by some of the smartest people I know, so I'm sure that definitely helps. So
Yeah, you are for sure wise beyond your years, and I'm sure that's largely because of the life experiences that you've had.
Yep. You grow up fast. You learn what to do to survive.
Yeah.
However, there are some things where I'm having to furnish my home for the first time in ever. What goes in a bedroom? Oh my god.
Start with the bed.
Here. So,
It's kind of fun though.
yeah, I think I've never decorated anything. Like, I've never had a space to do that. So like, I'm like, oh, I actually get choices. Oh no. So excited. I get to take my cat soon. Excited to have, because I lost my my soul cat, I think, and I would absolutely label him that in June, late June, and so I get to take one of the other kitties from our home over. He's a coward and a fool, so I'm excited to see him again.
Yeah. Well, good. I mean, we are so happy for you and the strides you've made, compared to, where you came from and what you've overcome is not normal,
Nope.
right? You are not a statistic.
No.
And you didn't allow yourself to just become a victim of your circumstances. And sitting here today, and I know I didn't get the chance to know you prior to today, but just hearing your story is so inspirational because you are incredibly optimistic and brilliant and on a path to greatness that you're unstoppable. And I can't wait to hear the rest of your story
Yeah.
of what you're going to accomplish at the University of Arizona and then on to PA school or wherever it takes you. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful thing to watch. So please keep us updated.
We'll have you back on the podcast in a few years.
There we go.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, maybe after I graduate.
Still,
I mean, you'll be invited if I'm able to soon, because obviously I don't have family. So like,
I'll definitely be there.
We want to come too.
yeah. I learned that like if you graduate with honors, which I figured I was gonna join honors anyways, because I was gonna do the extra work anyways, because you get like a weird little medal thing, and like I was so curious about like why.
Yeah, for all that work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the medal needs to be a little bit bigger, but still well deserved.
I've heard some things about it. It was really funny because my friends have graduated with honors, some of them, and she's like, yeah, like mine was like a pure copper, but apparently they're copper plated now, and so there's like a big thing about it. I was not.
Budget cuts.
Budget cuts. we were in a budget crisis for a while, so it's fair. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're proud of you. Just know this, that whatever life brings you, East Point is always a home that you can come back to.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to be for our current students and for our alumni, that no matter what's happening, this is a place that you can stay connected to.
Yeah.
And you will always have people that will come around you and support you, even if it's the last option, right? If all else has failed, show up here.
Yeah.
We've got you.
it's definitely something that I've seen. So definitely.
Well,
You're right.
having Mr. D as a teacher is definitely a plus. I wish I had someone like him when I was coming up through school.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you understand how hard, I mean, you understand well how hard it is to get students to like actually be passionate about like things like healthy eating and like exercise, especially students from that background, and he did it.
Yeah, I mean, so many of them are living off talkies and video games. And,
Yep.
Slushies.
Oh, man. That makes
did
my
it.
stomach hurt
I
just
did it.
thinking about it.
And I remember when you were advocating a lot for like being able to get students transported to like basketball practice and stuff, and that's like really important, like to be able to have those types of communities and things. And so it's definitely something that I saw. So.
Yeah, and those outlets. Yeah. Well, Cupid, it was a pleasure hearing your story. I know that
Thank you for having
our
me.
listeners are going to be inspired by it and inspire them to push through those hard things in life, right?
It's momentum.
Yeah, momentum. Momentum that is created, right? It just doesn't randomly show up. And I think that that's a major theme in your life that's going to continue to carry you forward. So congratulations on all your success. Thanks for joining us today and making the drive up from Tucson. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
Okay.